Hey, g'day folks. Now, this is probably the most exciting piece I've had on this channel so far. I was very fortunate to be able to pick this up secondhand for 100 euros, which is a crazy price. And what this is a 24 centimeter Mauviel Copper Saute pan, right? Now, normally I would, buy a pan, have a play with it, test it, do a video on it, sell it, as I've done with the previous pans I've had on this channel. But this one I don't think is going anywhere for now, okay? Because I don't know when is the next time I'm gonna be able to pick up a deal like this again. And I've always wanted a couple of copper pieces in my collection. So for now, this pan is here to stay. Now this pan, it's in very good condition. I don't know how old it is, but I suspect it's not that old, but I will tell you why in a sec. And so the copper has some natural patina on it, which I did give it a polish, and now it's looking pretty good. But I think I don't think I'll be able to get it look new again. It's got some very minor scratches down the bottom, which is totally expected. It has a stainless steel lining on the inside, and the stainless steel is in very good condition, so it looks perfect. And so yeah, I was very happy that I managed to pick this up. Now, normally at the end of the video, I'm gonna do a little summary on whether I think the pan is worth buying or not. But in this video, I'm gonna leave that part to a separate video, because I think it's worth doing a separate video talking about, is it worth it buying copper, and if you are gonna buy copper, what you should look for, etc. But nevertheless, we will go through the main points. So we'll talk about the product range and the construction specifications, and then we're going to have a look at how it performs in the test of the temperature distribution, and we'll talk a little bit about the patina that's on the copper and how I or you would deal with that, and a little bit on the advantages and disadvantages, etc. Okay. So now, firstly, onto the product range. Now, previously, Mauviel had two copper lines, the Heritage M150 and the Heritage M250. So the M150 is a 1.5 millimeter thick pan with 90% copper. So that's about, 1.3 millimeters of copper, and the rest in stainless steel or tin. And the M250 is a 2.5 millimeter thick pan, okay? But recently they changed that, so now they only have the M150, which is the same as before, and they have the M200, which replaces the M250. So what it means is that the thickest Mauviel pans these days, the M200, are only 2 millimeters thick instead of 2.5 millimeters thick. Now, personally, I think that's a pretty nasty cost-saving tactic, right? I would not be happy if I was the customer. If I'm paying Rolls-Royce dollars for a pan, well, then I want more copper, right? It's as simple as that. So now, what is this pan? Well, I suspect, and the reason I say is I don't think it's that old, is because the thickness of this pan is definitely not 1.5. And it's definitely also not 2.5. So if I measure it just with a ruler like this, it looks like it's exactly 2 millimeters in thickness. So I suspect this is actually from the newer M200 range, which is better than the M150. But unfortunately, a bit of a disappointment, it was not the M250. Now, before I get on to the specifications, I just want to have a quick look or talk about the size of this Mauviel pan. And this is one thing that I do not like about it, and that is, for a 24 centimeter rondeau, this is quite small, actually. The volume is barely 3 liters. Let me just grab my ruler. So the volume is barely 3 liters, and the bottom edge here is quite curved, so that also reduces the effective volume. And I just want to do a quick comparison with this is my Demela Industry 24 centimeter rondeau, so also 24 centimeters. Now you can see on the camera that this looks actually a lot bigger. and it is bigger. And that's for 2 or 3 reasons. One is that the actual diameter from the inside edge to the inside edge is about 2 millimeters bigger than the Mauviel. It is also about a centimeter taller than the Mauviel, and the bottom edge here is not as curved as the Mauviel. So the effective volume in this rondeau is, if I remember correctly, about 3.7 liters. Okay, so that's one little thing that I don't like, is that yeah, for a 24 centimeter rondeau, this is a little bit small. Right, on to the actual construction and the specifications. So again, under the good assumption, I suppose, that this is a 2 millimeter pan. So then in that case, you have 1.8 millimeters of copper, and the rest 0.2 millimeters of stainless steel lining. Okay, but to be honest, if I measure with the ruler again like this, it looks like the copper is actually close to 2 millimeters. Anyway, the handle is quite thin, so it's quite thin like this. I think you can see it like that. It's quite a thin in this orientation. And now this is the cast iron handle, but I suspect it's actually stainless steel that's electroplated to make it look like cast iron, because that's how Mauviel has been constructing their their supposedly cast iron handles, but underneath this black surface may actually be stainless steel. Okay. And the lid itself, now on the lid, it is actually mostly stainless steel, so it's like the reverse of the pan. The pan is mostly copper with a layer of stainless steel. The lid is mostly stainless steel with a very thin layer of copper on top, and once again with the cast iron handle, or it could be stainless that's electroplated to make it look like cast iron. So for the remainder of the specifications, the weight of the pan is 1.9 kilograms. So the pan not including the lid, this is 1.9 kilograms. The weight of the lid is 0.5, so in total this weighs 2.4 kilograms. The diameter, if you measure from edge to edge, is 24.5 approximately, and the inside to the inside is approximately 24 centimeters in diameter. And on the bottom you get 20 diameters of flat cooking surface, and which also means you get 20 centimeters of flat surface that's in contact with your hob, and the total length is 46 centimeters from the tip of the handle to the edge of the pan, which is good because it just manages to fit in my oven, right? So next, let's have a look at the temperature distribution test. That's on the computer, so let's do that now. Now onto the results of the temperature distribution test. Now before we actually get to that, I just want to have a quick look at this prediction, if you like to call it that way, of how fast the Mauviel copper is going to cook, or how fast it's going to heat up. Now this is an estimation of the heat storage of pans made from various materials. I'm not going to go through this again, the method I mean. So what I'll do is I'll put a link to my previous 2 videos down below, so you can have a look at it for yourself. But it's basically a calculation from the heat equation, mass times the specific heat capacity times the change in temperature, and we're applying that to a pan assuming a diameter of 24 centimeters and made out of various materials. So here I did a simulation for this copper pan, this Mauviel copper, 24 centimeters in diameter, assuming it's the M200, the 2 millimeters in thickness in total with 1.8 millimeters of copper, and we get a number of 56,000 joules going from a temperature of 20 to 200 degrees. Now I'm going to compare the results with my Demela Industry 5, which is a 24 centimeter 5 layer stainless rondeau, and I'm also going to compare that with my 24 centimeter Demela Atlantis, which has a 2 millimeter thick copper layer on the bottom, along with three layers of stainless steel, 2 layers of silver, and another layer of stainless steel on the inside. So now from these numbers, you can see that we're comparing 56,000 to 62,000 for the Industry 5 to 100,000 for the Atlantis. So we expect that the Mauviel copper will cook the fastest, and followed by the Industry 5 and followed by the Atlantis. Okay, so let's have a look at the results and let's see if it is indeed what we get. Right, here we are. Now we're looking at two things. So first of all, how even does the bottom of the pan distribute heat and how fast it cooks. Now, as you can see from the evenness of the heat distribution, well, the Mauviel, it didn't blow me away. Let's put it that way. It was the temperature difference between the center and the edge, especially in this portion during the middle of the experiment, was bigger than what I hoped and what I expected, to be honest. So if you compare that with the results from the Atlantis, well, it didn't actually perform as good as the Atlantis. It could be that because the bottom of the Atlantis is a lot thicker, it has more time for the heat to disperse to all parts of the bottom. That could be a reason. But in terms of the evenness of the heat distribution, it is a bit underwhelming until we get to the towards the end of the experiment, where the temperature difference started to reduce or converge. Okay, so that's it for the evenness of the heating. Now, if we look at the speed of heating, it is more or less like we predicted. If we look at this graph, this is the Mauviel, so in red. So as you can see, it heats up the fastest with respect to time. In the middle is the 5-layer 5-ply Industry, 5-ply stainless steel rondeau of the same size, and the slowest is the Atlantis. But one thing I would say here is that the difference between the Mauviel and the Industry is bigger than I expected from the calculation, but the difference between the Mauviel and the Atlantis is more or less what I expected. So there's quite a big difference there. So if we compare the Mauviel to the Atlantis, it cooks say 270, 195, 360, roughly 195, between 1 minute to 1 minute and a half faster than the Atlantis. Right, so overall it's kind of what I expected, but yeah, a little bit underwhelmed. Considering that it's an all copper pan, so I was expecting a little bit better from the evenness of the temperature distribution. Right, back to the pan itself, the Patina. Now, when I bought it, it had, well, if you look at if I put it like this, if I show you like this, there is some patina, but not very heavy. That's because I gave it a polish with a combination of salt and vinegar. So that's the other way than using a proper copper grill, and it does give you pretty good results. There are videos on YouTube that show you how to do that, but it's very simple. And so now personally, I'm not gonna bother to keep this pan looking like new every time I use it, because well, two reasons. I think it actually looks better with a little bit of patina. That's reason number one. And reason number two is that it tells people that, you know, this pan is not just for show. You are actually cooking with it and enjoying it, and that's how the patina develops, right? So it's not just sitting there looking pretty. So that's my reasoning for not polishing it every time, not planning to polish it every time that I use it. Now, onto some dislikes and disadvantages. Well, I've already spoken about the size. So the size is a bit small for a 24cm rondeau, so that's one dislike for me. The other dislike is that there are no lips on the edges. Okay, so if you look at some other manufacturers, they put a lip on the edges, so this is just a very straight edge. And another disadvantage, and this is important, that comes along with that, is the edge here, on the outside especially, is very sharp. Okay, so you can literally cut yourself like this if you're not careful, so definitely watch out for that. So this is going to be the end of this video. I'm going to do another video as a follow-up to this one, maybe talk a little bit about my experience with it, and also to just briefly discuss the topic of do you actually, or should you actually get a copper pan. Okay, but for now, all I'm going to say is that I would not pay the full retail price for a brand new Mauviel pen, regardless if it's M150 or M250. Because the value, I think, is just not there. So that's a little hint to the next preview, I guess. That's a little preview to the next video that's coming up. All right, so I hope this has been helpful and enjoyable, and I will see you in the next video.